Yo guys, what is up, Grizzly here, and I thought I would create a Retribution Paladin guide for patch 7.0.3, which is the first patch of the Legion launch for World of Warcraft. So I have played Retri quite a bit since Legion launched. I'm currently PvP rank 12, I think, so I've unlocked the first row here. But in this guide I basically wanted to go through what I think the best build is gonna be for Retribution Paladins, like the straight off like battleground build, and I'm also gonna go into what talent choices are good for arena and so on. So what are my merits for teaching how to play this class? Well, in Warlords of Draenor I reached 2200 rating both in 2v2 and 3v3, playing a Retribution Paladin with Survival Hunter and a Discipline Priest. I think therefore I have quite some experience with the class. I'm pretty decent at it, so I should have the general idea of how to build the class. And I've checked through YouTube quite a bit, trying to find guides for Retris overall. And I only find PvE guides, and I never really find guides that go through the artifact weapon and what path to take there. So I have watched a lot of Vanguards, and I have watched his Twitch VODs, and I have seen his gameplay, and I've also played quite a bit myself. So yeah, let's start things off. Stats now in this expansion really doesn't matter, because once you enter instanced PvP, your class or spec will get a template of stats, which only increases with your item level. So per item level, your stat templates increase by 0.1% per item level. Right now I have 800 item level because I haven't really done much PvE. But it's not really that important. What is important, however, is your artifact weapon. You can see here that I have spent 14 points, so I've gone to the point where my artifact upgrades costs upwards of 8k artifact power, which is quite a bit. So as you can see, here's the path I've chosen to take, so I'm gonna go through it. So first of all, you only have one choice, when you take the increased damage dealt by Seal by 15% or Crusader Strike. It's this ability here. Seal is a talent that replaces Crusader Strike. And after that, I basically just want to go as fast as possible into Ashes to Ashes, which basically doubles the damage of your artifact ability, because it creates a dot on them afterwards. On every target that it hits. And the most important thing about this talent is that it also makes the ability Wake of Ashes generate 5 holy power, which is huge for our burst rotation, which I'm also gonna go through later. The talents to get there are quite solid. This increases the damage by Divine Storm by 15%, which is good in cleave situations. Obviously not the best talent, but it's fine. This is a really good talent for PvP. It gives us pretty much a second trinket. After 2 seconds of sitting in CC, Ashbringer will break you free. This can occur only once every 2 minutes. So it's basically the same cooldown as the Honor talent with the Honor PvP trinket with the talent, which reduces this to 2 minutes. And then we have reduced the cooldown of the Blessing of Protection by 30%, which is great. You can do any sorts of damage now through BOP, so that ability is just so good. Then after I get here, I don't take this path down here, because this, what should you call it, Keystone, isn't really that good. As you can see, it gives Divine Storm range, and it also increases the damage of Divine Storm, but since this isn't our main holy power spender, I basically chose to go back here and try to work towards this, which makes Ashbringer mimic Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm, so that it deals 10% more damage. And these talents are also quite good. This increases the damage of Blade of Wrath by 24%. This increases the critical strike chance of Seal. Here I will get reduced cooldown of Shield of Vengeance, which is Retri's new defensive shield here. It absorbs upwards of 450k in instanced PvP, so that's so good, especially because it deals back the same damage once it explodes or expires. And then once I work my way here, I would probably go into the Avenging Wrath talent, and then I will probably take all of these before I even bother going with Flash of Light, increased healing of Flash of Light, and Divine Storm, and also this talent which makes Divine Storm heal allied players for 30k. So basically you take this route first, you go to Ashes of Ashes, and then you build your way towards here and to Echo the High Lord, and then you get all these talents before going into these final talents here. So that is basically the path. Obviously it will take a really long time to grind all of these, but this is the general path that I've chosen to take. So let's go through some regular talents. First row, Final Verdict is the only choice because Execution Sentence, the damage is lowered in instanced PvP. You can actually find those patch notes on Blizzard's website. And it can also be dispelled, so it isn't a good choice, especially not for Arena. Concentration relies on your enemy standing in the area, which it's not good for PvP. You want to be as mobile as possible. The Fires of Justice I played with at first, but I found that, and I also heard from Vanguards when he talked about it, that you don't have the uptime to make use of the cooldown reduction on Crusader Strike, and Seal deals a lot more damage than Crusader Strike. As you can see here, Seal does 85k damage, right? And it cleaves. You can read the spell. If you play Retro, you probably have seen this talent. And if I switch to Crusader Strike, it only deals 63k damage. So even though Seal is used for cleave situations, it's also better for single target in PvP because it adds a lot more burst. This row has been the same like for a lot of expansions. I think this row was actually the same in both MOP and VOD, if I remember correctly. Fist of Justice is still the best choice. Repentance can be interrupted. Blinding Light can be used in comps where you don't want to DR stuns, but overall Fists of Justice is better. Virtuous Blade is fine. It's like these two are pretty close. Divine Hammer you should never play it with because that requires 100% uptime on your target to get the full benefit of the talents. Blade of Wrath deals holy damage instead of physical damage, so it's better when you're hitting like plate targets. So you could vary this on like what kind of comp you're facing, so this row really depends, but in general I play with Blade of Wrath. The next row, Eye for an Eye, is super good against melee cleaves, in my opinion, especially if you're the target, the kill target of the arena match. Justicar's Vengeance is like better in general though. As you can see, it deals 100% additional damage and healing when used against a stun target, so the rotation is that you stun someone when you already have 5 holy power, you use Justicar's Vengeance, and then you use your Ashbringer ability and get 5 holy power again, and then you use it again. And since you play with this talent here, Divine Purpose, which have a chance of making your next holy power spending ability free, you can get like, if you're really lucky, I've gotten 4 Justicar's Vengeance in a stun and just one-shotted someone. It's completely insane. So that talent is really solid overall. Word of Glory could be an alternative, but I wouldn't really use this actually. It's basically healing. On this row you could run Divine Intervention if you're against a comp that like has a lot of damage cooldowns and are focusing you, but in general you need Cavalier because Retros right now, their biggest weakness is that they don't have like any mobility whatsoever, so you really need the 2 stacks of your Divine Seed. Seal of Light is like trash, don't use this talent. Last row, Divine Purpose, as I said before, can be really useful, and it's also very consistent in the long run when you're DPSing for a long period of time. Crusade is just really bad for PvP. It adds a lot more damage over time, but like you completely miss out on the burst from Avenging Wrath, so it's not worth. Holy Wrath is extremely strong in certain situations, but it's not that well-rounded, so I prefer Divine Purpose basically. Going over to the honor talents, I think Gladiator's Medallion will be used most of the time. I can see Relentless being used, but in general I just think Gladiator's Medallion is the key, but Adaption is not that good in my opinion. This row, you should take Reinforced Armor most of the time, but against double melee comps in Arena you will take Sparing. Hardiness, I only use that right now because I don't have these unlocked yet. This row you pretty much want to go with Law and Order most of the time. It basically makes it so that if they dispel you're only slow, or you actually have a slow on this one as well, but it's quite a long cooldown. I guess this one is also 30 seconds though. The cooldown is basically halved if it's dispelled, so that's really good. And also Blade of Justice applies Hand of Hindrance for 3 seconds. So this is another reason for why I go with the Blade of Wrath talent, because as you can see here, this spell only has a 6.7 second cooldown, while if I switch to this one, it has a 9.4 seconds. So if I run this, I have better slow uptime. Obviously when I get the talent, not at the moment. This row you want to go with Luminescence most of the time, especially in Arena. This one can be okay I guess, but it's not that good. This you can run against Unholy Death Knights and Rogues because they have diseases and poisons. So that's quite good against those classes. Vengeance Aura is not that good, but Blessing of Sanctuary is like mandatory. It's basically sack for Arena. Can be used for dueling as well if you like preemptively use stun yourself and someone stuns you. It's basically reduced by 60%, so if you can predict a rogue opening in duels, this will pretty much win you the duel. Seraphine's Blessing is not good at all. The final row, Lawbringer, is extremely strong. Not only does Judgment deal 5% of the target's maximum HP in holy damage, but it also increases the duration of the judgment effect, so that you pretty much always have the debuff uptime, where you deal 28% more damage with Templar's Verdict, Justicar's Vengeance, and Divine Storm on the target. So yeah, guys, that's basically my setup. As I said before, I had like one tip for the burst rotation, where you basically hit them when you have 5 holy power and you hit them with a stun. You use your Justicar's Vengeance, you do a Wake of the Ashes, and then you do another Justicar's Vengeance, and hopefully you can get a proc from Divine Purpose and absolutely destroy someone. So that's like pretty much the burst rotations for Retris. I'll probably release more content about Retributions in the future, maybe a montage, maybe a burst rotation guide, like a pure video for that, because I don't want this video to go over like the 10-minute mark, the 11-minute mark, because that's just gonna be boring for you guys to watch. So yeah, guys, this was basically my guide for Retribution Paladins. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you have any questions, if you didn't agree with my build, we can have a discussion about that in the comments as well. So yeah, make sure to check out my future videos with Retribution Paladin, and hope you guys have an awesome day.